school division's fund comes from the province. And do you feel abandoned by the Pallister government when it decided to reduce public school funding?
I don't know that I would say we feel abandoned. We're definitely concerned about the future of education with the continued cuts to education by the Pallister government. But we're very interested in working with this government to develop and deliver excellent programming for the students of the Winnipeg School Division.
Okay. So as a school board trustee, Chris,
yes,
how is your relationship with the Pallister administration? Were you even engaged or involved in decision making for education related legislations?
The relationship that we have with the Pallister government isn't too terribly different than our relationship that we would have with essentially any government. We've definitely disagreed on the approach and philosophy that this government is taking to education in Manitoba, but we remain professional in our exchange with them.
Okay. Is the province still open for, let's say, discussion or for possible reconsideration for the funding to Winnipeg School Division?
That's a question maybe best asked to them. I don't know what their position would be. I would suspect to believe that they don't have any plans to change anything. And I suspect to believe that they're quite satisfied that services are being cut.
In an email sent to media, a spokesperson for Manitoba's Education Minister Cliff Collett said, or wrote in an email, which I quote, "It is unfortunate that the chair of the Finance Committee of the Winnipeg School Division chose to mislead and create anxiety among educators, parents, and students." Your comments or take on this, Chris?
Yeah, it's the reality is the province of Manitoba has cut education funding to the Winnipeg School Division by 1.6% year over year, budget over budget. And that has an impact. 60% of our revenue for delivering education in the Winnipeg School Division comes from the province of Manitoba. The remaining 40% essentially comes from property taxes. And so the government has set the stage from a collective bargaining perspective, from an accounting and best practices position when it comes to allocating funds. And they've done a poor job of that, and we've seen successive cuts to education, not just from this government, but from previous governments. That's led to a state we're in today, where we're cutting, or we're going to be required to cut up to $5 million worth of programs and services that the students of the Winnipeg School Division rely on, and we don't think that's an ideal scenario, and we'd much rather be talking today about a plan to invest in education, to assist students to recover from the pandemic, and to move education not only in the Winnipeg School Division, but the province of Manitoba as a whole in a positive direction for our children and for our future.
Now, I'd like to segue on the 5 million cut. So this is being done in order to achieve a balanced budget of, correct me if I'm wrong, 421 plus million?
Yeah.
So
421 million and change.
39,000 or something, right? Mm-hmm. So how, as a parent, I am a parent of two little boys and one grown-up. How will these cuts affect parents like me, teachers. I live in Tyndall Park area. I'm within your ward, within your catchment. Students and all other stakeholders of the division.
Well, there's going to be significant cuts. That's the reality. Just to start with, one of the most significant cuts that we're proposing in this is approximately $1.4 million in non-salary school budgets. So looking at the 78 schools of the Winnipeg School Division, we're going to be cutting from various non-salary portions of those budgets, and that would include furniture, school supplies, books, materials, those sorts of things. And so teachers that are already, struggling to make do with what they have. And in fact, if you look nationally, the average teacher is spending $500 a year of their own money to outfit their classrooms and make sure their students have the best learning experience that they can possibly provide. And so we're going to be in a position where they're going to have less. And when teachers have less, there's just less that they can do to foster curiosity and imagination and all those things necessary to assisting every child in achieving their potential.
What can ordinary moms, pops, teachers, and students do to save these programs and save the budget?
I think at this point, the best thing anyone can do, whether it's this budget year or any year, is to communicate with their elected officials what they value and what they think is important. And at a time when we're challenged as a province fiscally, we appreciate that there's difficult decisions that have to be made. But in my opinion, building a future economy and building the future for our children depends on quality education. And we don't achieve high quality education by making cuts. We need to invest. We need to invest in every child. And it's interestingly, the Winnipeg School Division, because of the investment of the Board of Trustees over the past number of years, has above provincial average results when it comes to academics. So, we're an example of when you invest, it works. And unfortunately, this government has painted the Board of Trustees into a corner and said, you cannot raise revenue through property taxes, and we're not going to give you enough money to maintain those investments. And we're left in a position of having to cut some of those programs and services that children rely on.
I believe that you also have, or stakeholders can actually join the board, and you accept delegates. That's what I meant.
Definitely.
Hear their comments and sentiments on this, right? Can you give us more information on that, Chris?
Certainly. If people have feedback for the Board of Trustees to consider when developing this budget, please contact any way that works for you. We accept the old-fashioned snail mail. We will take emails and comments. But if you want to present to the board, we have a public a public budget consultation meeting coming up later this month, and you can get more information on that on our website at winnipegsd.ca.
Last question before I let you go, sir. What is your message to Premier Brian Pallister and to Education Minister Cliff Collett?
To grow the economy of the future, we need quality jobs in this province, and we need workers educated and prepared to take on those jobs. And we need to invest in our children and our future if we want to grow the economy.